Live from the Department of Public Safety, EOC, you're listening to Ready Westmoreland, Westmoreland County's connection for public readiness, preparedness, and emergency planning topics that can help you and your loved ones be ready, set, and prepped for the next disaster or incident. I'm your host, Kovatch, Public Information Officer for the Westmoreland County Department of Public Safety, and joining me today is Courtney Smith, Public Affairs Specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration. Courtney works out of the Office of Disaster Assistance, Field Operations Center in Atlanta, Georgia. Her duty is to promote SBA's Disaster Loan Program to the media, community, businesses, civic and community organizations, and elected officials. She responds to disasters that occur within the territory of the 27 states east of the Mississippi River, plus Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Courtney resides in Atlanta and has served 5 years in the capacity of the Public Affairs Specialist and PIO with SBA. Thanks for joining us today, Courtney.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're great to have you in southwestern Pennsylvania. We hope you've been enjoying your stay out this way.
I have.
Oh, that's great to hear. So just as a little background for some of our listeners out here, obviously you're out here on business. You guys are out here to provide a service to the residents, and that is in the aftermath of the flooding that a lot of our residents were subjected to on Friday, August 5th of 2022. So just to provide a little background to our listeners on that as well, on Friday, August 5th, 2022, the Unity and Hempfield Township areas were subjected to about 5 inches of rain that fell within less than an hour. Here within the 911 center, we started getting inundated with calls, obviously of residential flooding, businesses, and even a few rescues that required our swiftwater rescue teams to respond. The next days we came out, we had damage assessments of about 60 residential homes and about 15 businesses that we went through and did damage assessments that then we could send up through the state. After that, PEMA came out. They sent out representatives to help us do more damage assessments to see what kind of assistance we could provide to the flood survivors. It was amazing in the days following the outpouring of help that came from the community. The local fire departments, specifically Lloydsville Fire Department, who that's their initial area, a lot of what was impacted. They did clothing drives with donations, cleaning supplies, all kinds of stuff that they brought out to help assist. We also have our Human Services and Preparedness Coalition, which you were fortunate enough. You got to come out yesterday and speak with them, which was great. But that's made up of all of our human service agencies within the county. So they've been engaged throughout this whole process to providing services that they offer to the residents. But as I'm sure you know, that isn't always enough. We always have to take those extra steps. And as much as we all like to think that the state or the federal government is going to just sweep in and be able to hand out money and provide that assistance, it's not the case. So that is where you guys come in and are able to offer programs to help these individuals get back on their feet in the aftermath. So you guys are here because you sent up the Disaster Loan Outreach Center here in Westmoreland County.
Yes.
So before we get into all of that, can you just explain what SBA does? What are your disaster loan programs that you offer?
Okay. So in times of disaster, of course, usually the governor will request a disaster declaration. And so once it is declared, then, of course, SBA proceeds in establishing either a BRC, a Business Recovery Center. So oftentimes we establish those in the counties as well. And then sometimes we'll establish a DLOC or a Disaster Loan Outreach Center. So we are here, again, on the grounds, physically on the grounds for those storms, the flooding that occurred on August 5th. The declaration was actually received on August 19th. And so what we do is in times of disaster for any individuals or residents that reside in the disaster declared counties, they are eligible for assistance from SBA. Now, assistance meaning we have 3 different types of disaster loan programs. The first disaster loan program is the home physical disaster loan. And basically what that is, that's loans that is awarded to the homeowner or the renter to repair or replace disaster damage personal property and also real estate Of course, that was loss or damage as a result of the storm. Now, of course, if you're the homeowner, you can receive up to $200,000 in funding at an interest rate of 2.18%. Now, of course, we have several individuals who, they say they come into our centers because the DLOC is actually where they can go to receive one-on-one assistance. And so we urge, all of the residents, all of the survivors, hey, go into the DLOC, because not only are they able to answer all of your questions, they are able to actually complete and submit the application for you, so you can receive that one-on-one assistance. And so once you're able to go into the DLOC and submit that application, and then of course, you're on your way to recovery. And so again, what we do with that home disaster loan is for the homeowners, but we have several individuals who say, hey, I'm not a homeowner, I'm a renter. I lost my clothing, my furniture, my appliances, my electronics. My car was flooded. SBA will fund the renter in the amount of $40,000 at the same interest rate. And that is to cover, of course, those items that were lost or damaged, including their automobile. So that's the home physical disaster loan. Now, of course, you also have business owners whose businesses may have been impacted either physically or economically. So we have the business physical disaster loan. And so basically what that loan is pretty much the same. It's loans to repair or replace disaster damaged property that was owned by the business. So this includes machinery, equipment, inventory, anything that is in need of repair or needs to be completely replaced as a result of the storm. Business owners can receive up to $2 million in funding at an interest rate of 3.04%. Of course, that's also for private nonprofits, but the interest rate for the private nonprofits are 1.875%. And then the last disaster loan that we have, we refer to as our economic injury disaster loan, or EIDL for short. And basically, these are our working capital loans. This is money to help the business stay in business and function as it did pre-disaster state. And so, again, with that economic injury loan, the deadline, you're giving about 9 months, a little bit more time to submit that application, because usually that financial impact is not immediately felt. And so business owners are giving a little more time. But for those homeowners and renters, they have 60 days to complete an application. So with this declaration being declared on August 19th, the deadline is October 18th. So 60 days to apply. And again, they can apply in person at the DLOC, which is, again, we strongly, urge and encourage them to visit a DLOC. But we also realize here in Westmoreland County is actually where the DLOC is established. It's in Latrobe at St. Vincent College in the Fred Rogers Center, room 1B. But we do realize there are individuals who may live in one of the contiguous counties who, may be quite a distance from that. So you still have options. You can apply online at disasterloanassistance.sba.gov. Or you can call our customer service number and request a paper application, and they'll mail it to you, and then you can complete it and then, of course, mail it back in. So you definitely not only have 3 different types of disaster loan programs, but all of the residents are eligible to apply for. And one thing I want to add with that, if you're a business owner and you submit an application for the business physical disaster loan, you will automatically be considered for the EIDL loan. You don't have to submit a separate application. So that's a lot of times people are not aware of that. Business owners are not aware of that. But again, those are the 3 disaster loan programs, and then those are the 3 ways to apply. And so I'm just wanting to make sure people, keep in mind that is a 60-day deadline for the physical damage disaster loan. And again, that deadline is October 18th.
Okay, that's good to know, because I know sometimes in the weeks following this, there's a lot going on. These families are trying to recover. They're going through their homes. They might be going through the demo process, trying to figure out what they need. And this is just another step that they have to take, which can be overwhelming.
Yes.
I know we were out visiting the DLOC, and we got to meet your 4 customer service representatives that were out there. They were all great, and you can tell they just have a heart to want to help people and get them back on their feet. And they said the more people that show up, the more they feel like they're making an impact out there.
Yes. And so, again, that's why we definitely urge the residents and, any individuals that were impacted by the storms to go into that DLOC, because oftentimes people have so many questions, but they also have concerns. They're worried about, I don't have satisfactory credit, or I don't have this. Hey, should I wait for insurance? I already filed the claim with my insurance. How does that work? And so with SBA, we will still, we I always encourage the residents and the individuals, don't wait for insurance, because SBA loans are for the underinsured and the uninsured. So either you didn't have insurance at all, or it's just not enough. And so oftentimes individuals, they are under the impression that they need to wait before they can even apply. And we tell them, no, it's actually the opposite. Apply with SBA while you're waiting. And when you do receive, funds from your insurance company, you can always pay off or pay down the loan, because that's one of the perks of the program. There is no prepayment penalty. And I'll mention a few other perks later, but yeah, there's no prepayment penalty. So we do, again, don't wait for insurance. The only thing that SBA will not do, they will not duplicate benefits. So if let's say the amount of damage is in excess of $250,000 and your insurance company provides you $200,000, then SBA will consider you for that remaining $50,000, which will make you whole. So again, if you have insurance, by all means, file the claim, but come into the center while we're still here, because we're only here, for a short amount of time. But come into the center, receive that one-on-one assistance, have all of your questions answered. A lot of individuals, they want to know, well, what documentation, do I need to bring? And of course, it varies depending on whether it's a home physical disaster application or a business. Of course, a little bit more documentation is required if you're a business owner. But those CSRs, and we do have 4 that are located in that DLOC, those CSRs can answer any and all of your questions. And again, they can not only complete the application for you, but they will submit it on your behalf.
And that's a huge step, because sometimes when you're going online and you're trying to work through all those questions, it can be a lot.
Exactly.
But I love how you mentioned about how there's not only for homeowners and business owners, but for renters as well.
Yes.
Because I know when we were out doing our damage assessments, we found that. We found that there were a lot of people who were renters, and whereas they might have renter's insurance, they were worried, were the contents of their home, what could they get to try and help replace that? So I'm glad that you mentioned that. But also, you mentioned about the contiguous counties across Westmoreland. So it's not just Westmoreland County that's eligible for these Small Business Association or Administration disaster loans. What other counties now fall into that?
So the other counties, of course, Westmoreland County, as you mentioned, but the other counties that are eligible for assistance is Allegheny County, Armstrong County, Cambria County, Fayette County, Indiana County, Somerset County, Washington County, and recently added Butler County. Butler was added yesterday. So if you are a resident, disaster survivor residing in any of those counties, and again, Butler County, you are eligible for all forms of assistance. And again, as you mentioned, it's not just for the homeowners and renters, it's for the business owners, and it is for private nonprofits. And as it concerns businesses, it is for businesses of all sizes. So sometimes you have business owners who say, well, I have a mom and pop, store or shop. I only have, 4 or 5 employees. I'm not going to qualify. It's the exact opposite. Yes, business of all sizes. So it doesn't matter whether you have 2 employees or 200 employees. Businesses would be eligible and they would qualify. And so, again, go into the DLOC. And then, again, if there's any, apprehension about, applying, just go to the DLOC, visit, ask your questions. And, again, they can answer all of those questions and just provide you more ease in, making that decision.
That's great. And for anyone wanting more information on where the DLOC is at, we currently have all that information on the Westmoreland County webpage.
Great.
It shows up as a news flash on the bottom where anyone in the public can click. It provides the address, the hours of operation, and a lot of details about the programs as well. So we always want to push that out, as well as on our social media sites. Westmoreland County Department of Public Safety, we're on Facebook. We can be found at Westmoreland DPS information page. We can be found on Instagram at WestMoco911, and also on Twitter at the same account. So we make sure we push all that information out and make sure we can get it out to the public and our community partners as much as possible.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, so just to hit back on the deadline, when is that deadline for individuals to do this? Because I know we're trying to push the community and those who are impacted to go to the DLOC to get as much assistance as possible. But what time do they have until?
So for the physical damage disaster application, that deadline is October 18th. So that's 60 days from the date of the actual declaration, which was August 19th. But individuals have until October 18th. Now, if you are a business owner and you are submitting an EIDL application, you have until next year, actually May 19th, of 2023. So they have a few extra months. Unlike, the business owners and the renters, you have those 60 days. As far as the DLOC is concerned, where you can actually go in and, again, receive that one-on-one assistance and have, one of the CSRs to complete and submit that application for you, we will only be here physically present in Westmoreland County until next Friday. That date is September 2nd. And the hours on that day is 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So, again, with all of the different ways that they're able to find this information, I know you mentioned your Facebook, your Instagram, the county website. Again, those hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then on Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. However, next Friday is the last day that DLOC will be open, and those CSRs will be there, of course, readily available to assist those individuals. So please keep that in mind. If you're visiting a DLOC, you want to make sure that you visit the DLOC before Friday, September 2nd.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for sharing that information out. Is there anything else you'd like to add about the SBA Disaster Loan Program itself or about any other important aspects?
Yes. So I always like to conclude with just perks of the program, because typically, when people hear loan, there is a bit of hesitation and apprehension. And so what I want to mention is that there's no cost to apply for these loans. It will only require a few minutes of your time, especially if you go into the DLOC. Also, there's no obligation to accept the loan. So we've actually had a few individuals who came into the DLOC, and again, there was some hesitation there, and they didn't know whether they should apply or if I should just wait. Well, I haven't heard back from the insurance. I'm not really sure. I still feel a bit uneasy, and we tell them there's no obligation to accept the loan. So we urge them and we encourage them to go ahead and submit it, because you actually have 6 months to decide if you even want to accept the loan. But, and let's say you do, you submit the application, and, again, let's say you are awarded $50,000. You don't have to accept that amount. If you have a change of heart after you've completed the application and you say, I don't want the money anymore, my insurance came through, I don't need it, guess what? You can return them. You can reject it. But again, you have up until 6 months to decide whether or not you even want to accept the loan. So if you say, okay, I was awarded, but I think I'll wait. The insurance, and I spoke with my insurance agent, and they told me, maybe it'll take 2 or 3 more weeks for me to receive my check. Well, I will just wait. You have that 6 months. Also, there are fixed interest rates and terms, so you don't ever have to worry about that changing over the life of the loan. So I know that's something that's very important to most people who, submit their application. 30-year repayment terms. So the loan, you have up to 30 years, over 30 years to pay back that loan. So I know that's also something that's of interest to individuals who apply. Another perk is there's a 5-month deferment. So your first payment is not due immediately. Your first payment is not due until the 5th month from the date of the signed promissory note. So again, you have 5 months before you even have to start, again, making those payments on the loan. And again, I cannot stress enough, don't wait for insurance, because some people, they have waited, and it was after the 60 days, and, SBA, has pulled out, the application deadline has passed, and then they receive money from insurance companies, and it's not enough. And so that's another reason why we urge and strongly encourage them to proceed in submitting the application, even if you haven't heard back from insurance, even if you have yet to file a claim. We definitely urge them to do that. So those are just a few perks of the program. And again, just come to the DLOC. While we're still here, the CSRs are waiting to assist the residents of Westmoreland County and all of the adjacent counties.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate everything that you guys do, and especially the customer service representatives that are out there with smiles on their faces, ready to help everyone. Now, you guys have been set up this is the 3rd day that you've been set up in Westmoreland County now.
Yes.
How many people have come within the last 2 days? Has it been fairly good considering?
I would say fairly good. Now, there was definitely a steady flow on opening day. The first day, I think we had 10 or more, 10 that I can remember. The second day was a little slow. People began to trickle in a little bit slower than they did the first day. But we're expecting the traffic to increase this weekend, because we understand through the week, people are working. And I do understand here in Westmoreland County, schools are back in session now. And so we're definitely hoping that this weekend, of course, the DLOC is closed on Sundays, but they are open on Saturdays, again, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So we're definitely hoping that traffic will begin to increase as we lead into the weekend.
Okay, that's great. Well, Courtney, thank you so much for coming out. We appreciate everything you do. We appreciate you coming out to share more information so we can get it out to our communities so they can get some of the relief that they need after such a tragic time. And hopefully this will help speed up the recovery process, because we all know the sooner our communities are able to get back on their feet, the less of an impact it's going to have in the long run, which is basically everyone's focus, whether it's what you guys are doing after the fact, whether it's our first responders on the front lines, or even our human service agencies stepping up to help with some of the other services that might be needed. We appreciate everything the community does, and especially you guys for traveling so far. I know some of the customer service representatives were from Atlanta, Georgia as well, I believe.
Yes, Atlanta, Michigan. Yeah, we're from all over, yeah.
So hopefully we keep the warm weather here for you a little bit longer, because winter is surely coming. But alrighty, well, Courtney, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And to all of our listeners, you heard it from Courtney. If you were impacted by the floods on August 5th, 2022, please feel free to come out and visit the Disaster Loan Outreach Center located at St. Vincent College in the Fred Rogers Center to speak with one of the customer service representatives about the disaster loan programs that they have. And as always, please follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and visit the county website for more information. But I'm your host, Cass Kovatch, and we look forward to speaking with you at the next podcast. Thank you.